Respect and honor, beautiful soul. Today we are talking about black swans and unicorns and all things disruptive. I'm talking about disruption. First, I want to list a couple of books that I would recommend you to take a look at. Either you can check them out at the library or get them on your Kindle. But number one on top of the list is The Disruptors, Social Entrepreneurs, Reinventing Business and Society. The Disruptors. The Disruptors. And it talks about business changing the world. A second one is Go Slow to Go Fast by Damien Pitts. Go slow to go fast. And it talks about strategies that counteract those big bang disruptors that cause change and just pull the rug from under us, pull our chairs right from under us. A third one is The Innovator's Solution. The Innovator's Solution by Clayton Christensen and Michael Raynor. It's a Harvard Business Review book. The Innovator's Solution. And it touches on everyone from Steve Jobs to Jeff Bezos. It just, talks about the great innovative leaders and strategies and the mindset and the mentalities behind that. Behind being a true, original, OG disruptor. Another one is Disrupted, Strategy for Exponential Change. And that's by a couple of authors, Larry Quick and David Platt. Disrupted, Strategy for Exponential Change. And he just talks about how people don't get exponential. Really interesting concept. A couple more. Big Bang Disruption by Larry Downs and Paul Nunes. Big Bang Disruption. It talks about how, years ago it would take years and years and years before something can come into the market and disrupt shit and wreck shit. But now it can happen quite literally in the matter of a few months. In the span of a couple of weeks, you can learn and really disrupt an entire industry, an entire marketplace. And this is something that the powers that be fear. They fear disruption because disruption is a threat. I'm going to get to it in just a second. Let me finish off on these books. Lastly, Survive, Exploit, Disrupt by Peter Steedle. Survive, exploit, disrupt. And it talks about recessions and how there may not be anything we can do to stop a recession, but we have plenty of choices when it comes to how we respond to market fluctuations. And it's so crucial that you guys start reading up on this kind of stuff, because we have a shift. We have a recession that is on the way that is going to shake shit up in such a monumental, painful way for those who are not prepared and those who are not educated and those who are not with their mind in the game on how to handle it. It's going to wipe a lot of people out, I'm telling you. So it's best to start preparing. I'm not saying that to be Debbie Downer or to be doom and gloom, but the preppers are the smart people, and you can't just prep with ready-made meals and guns and gold and seed banks, but you have to prepare mentally, emotionally, psychologically, how you're going to deal with the coming rising tides and storms that are going to face us economically, because it has such a pull and control over our lives. So, disruption is about survival. Disruption is about survival, first and foremost. Because if you can disrupt things, you control the game. You control the rules and how they get changed and bent if they get bent. So survive, exploit, disrupt. And last but not least, start your business on a ramen noodle budget. Start your business on a ramen noodle budget by Felicia Hatcher Pearson. So again, today I'm talking about black swans and unicorns. Black swans and unicorns. And when I talk about black swans, I'm talking about something that's rare. You can't predict it. You cannot prepare for it. You cannot brace for it. And today I'm encouraging you. I'm encouraging you to strive to be a black swan or a unicorn, that rare entity that breathes rare air. Because guess what? When you get to the level where you're so unique and your talents and skills and abilities and products, and even the way you handle people, the way you speak to people, your elegance, your class, your charisma, your style, the touch, your fingerprint on how you do what it is that you do. When that becomes so rare and unique and beautiful, you begin to be on the level of those who breathe rare air. And I'm here to tell you, there is no competition on that level. You don't even have the same problems as people who are beneath that level. And I'm not saying that to sound, arrogant. I'm certainly not saying I've reached that level, because I'm still on the climb. But I'll tell you this. I've gotten a glimpse of what it feels like. And because I've gotten a glimpse of what it feels like, I'm here to tell you it feels wonderful. And over my dead body will I go back to being broke and begging for peanuts and shucking and jiving and dancing and begging. Fuck that. Black swan, unicorn, disruption level. And disruption begins with value, adding value. And I can assure you, if you add value, people will be drawn to you. It's like that old saying that goes, build a better mousetrap. If you build it, they will come. And I don't necessarily agree with that, because you have a lot of people doing a lot of shit. You have a lot of people writing books. You have a lot of great athletes. You have a lot of wonderful, great companies that are doing, phenomenal and wrecking shop and changing the marketplace and changing the dynamics of our future. But it's not until you add value that you're going to become influential enough to actually have people follow you. And part of being successful is you have to be effective. And being effective, you have to add some kind of value. So whether you're on Twitter or Meerkat or doing podcasts, or you're a YouTube sensation, or you design software, whatever it is you do, whoever you are, I'm saying to you, begin to start pivoting and shifting your focus to perhaps doing it in such a way that you can disrupt shit. You can disrupt this market. You can disrupt entire industries. And to do that, you've got to add some value, baby. You got to add some value. And once that happens, people of all walks of life will begin to follow you and listen to what you have to say. But you got to be genuine. You have to be genuine first and foremost. And you have to be true to what it is that you're talking about, or walk the walk, talk the talk, so to speak. And you have to live from your highest values, because in order to stay in this game, to even stay focused in whatever it is you're trying to do that's going to disrupt, you have to believe in it. Because think about it, most of the great disruptors of our time, no one believed in them at first. No one believed in what they were talking about. Oftentimes they were on the fringe because they were coming up with something so completely out of the box and unique. It's not easy being a black swan. It's gonna come with people throwing peanuts at you and throwing tomatoes at you. You're gonna have haters. You're gonna have trolls. You're gonna have doubters. Some of them will even be in your own family and your own circles who just don't follow you. They don't believe in what it is you have going. And you have to be strong enough mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually to deal with the level of rejection and hate that you possibly, will get. And it may not be painful rejection and hate. It may just be that they're ignoring you. So in order to have that kind of strength and fortitude, I say you have to already come from a place of contribution and live from your highest values. You have to develop the skill sets you need to achieve your most pressing dream. A lot of us, we can't get past fear. Many of us, that's our biggest problem, is that we cannot box fear in. And I say to you today, you have to learn to box in your fears. Box in your fears. It comes from, in basketball, anyone who knows anything about basketball, when you're playing basketball, you have these plays, and there's a particular play where many of the players, they come into the perimeter, they come into the paint, and they box in the defense. They box in their opponents. And when you box them in, you limit them. You limit what they can do. You limit their movement. You limit their options. And I say you have to learn how to box in your fears so you can limit its effect on you. What are you afraid of anyway? I mean, really, the worst thing that can happen on this journey is you can die. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. I mean, I don't know. Some of you have other fears. Some of you have fears of being broke. It's going to happen. You came into this world broke. You're going to leave this world broke. You can't, all the money you earn, you can't take it with you. You can't take your children with you. You can't take your girlfriend or your boyfriend with you. You can't take your favorite pet cat or your favorite pair of earrings or your favorite sneakers or your car. You can't take any of that with you. You come here with nothing. You leave here with nothing. So what? You may lose some money. You may lose friendships. One thing I can tell you is this. If you become a true black swan, a true unicorn, a true disruptor, you will get back friendships and relationships tenfold, double for your trouble. Guarantee, I'm telling you. Because you become the it girl or the it guy. And when you're the it girl or the it guy, everybody wants you. So that's not an issue. The money comes with it as well. So what are you afraid of? Box in your fears. We have more powerful capabilities than we even realize, that we even tap into. And I've talked about this before, how we don't even utilize, more than a small percentage of our brain power. There's a huge percentage of your brain that you don't even use. There's a huge percentage of your what you can accomplish in a day. And many of us underestimate what it is we can accomplish during our lives. And I'm serious about that. And in order to start really tapping some shit that you've never tapped before, you have to push You have to push and lean into the edge. You have to lean into the pain. You have to lean in where it's uncomfortable. I mean, gangster lean, like I say in my book, like I say in Moonshine. For the Moonshine, I talk about how you have to lean in, gangster lean into the fear and being uncomfortable. That's where you grow. That's where you press your limits. That's how you reach rare air next level, is by pushing against the boundaries, pushing against what you're capable of. And as you do that, you stretch yourself and you're more capable and more capable. And suddenly you're doing leaps and bounds what you never imagined you would be able to do. And this isn't just career-wise. This is a principle physically. If you push yourself physically, day in and day out, I mean, you just look at some of our most fantastic Olympians and athletes, and they're beautiful, and we admire them, and we are astounded and awed and awestruck by their performance, because they push themselves to the limit. Even mentally. Some people say to me, how are you reading 5 and 6 books at a time? Easy. Because the more you push yourself to do it, we humans get used to anything. You can get used to something that is abysmal. You know, when you're first introduced to it, you're like, oh, hell no. But over time, you'll start overlooking things, and you'll get accustomed, and you'll get comfortable, and you'll be okay with what you once considered beneath you. And likewise, things that you never thought you could do, if you just keep, pressing a little bit and stretching a little bit here and stretching a little bit there and pushing yourself past where you thought you couldn't go before long, you will adapt and adjust and stretch, and your mind will stretch too. So don't think, there isn't anything that you cannot do. For the next 90 days, I challenge you to establish a mindset each day, the first 90 minutes of your day. For the next 90 days, I challenge you, for the next 90 days, for the first 90 minutes of your day, I want you to establish your mindset for the day. And you have to install this mentality and this mindset of total focus and fearlessness. And essentially, you have to become very hard to reach. That's one of our biggest problems, is we're distracted. And it's hard to become a black swan or a unicorn and to rise to the level of the disruptor when you're constantly disrupted and distracted so much that you can't even do legendary shit. Because one thing you can say about Serena Williams, and I love me some Serena Williams, because she is the epitome of the greatest of all time. You notice one thing about Serena, she's not all over the place doing this and doing that and investing in alcohol or got a pair of shoes over here and trying to open a club over there, and she's focused, laser focused. And there is no way on this earth she could have achieved what she's achieved at her age had she not put in that laser focus, and just that is all she is concentrated on. She's not all, a lot of us, we're just all over the place. From the time we get up, we're checking our phone, we're on Instagram, we're checking Twitter, we're checking our Facebook feed, we're looking at Snapchat, and then we're watching TV, and we're being aggravated by our family or our loved ones, and we're trying to give time and energy to them. It's no wonder people are not doing legendary shit anymore. No, you're not going to become a black swan or a unicorn when you're doing what everybody else is doing, and that's just being distracted. 99% of the time. Our lives are lives of distraction. So I challenge you for the next 90 days to become very hard to reach and install this total focus environment and populate your life with top performers. Populate your life with relationships and people who are doing next level, epic, black swan, unicorn, disruptive shit. Do you hear what I'm saying to you today? Because you can't afford not to. 7 months ago, approximately 7 months ago, I recorded a podcast called More Commas in 2016. And since that time, some of us, we have found a way to earn and increase the commas in our lives. And I'm talking about wealth, currency. But some of us are worse off than we were 7 months ago. And others are just, status quo, dormant. And that's because you didn't fix your sights on a end goal, an end game, a result that you wanted to reach. And if you did, if you still failed, it's probably because you've been too distracted. You can't do anything to disrupt anything or anyone or any industry or any marketplace without having laser focus and without having the right people around you and in your life. And yes, it's going to be painful because it's going to require you to cut some people off. Some people have to be cut off, baby. Some people, you cannot bring them with you. And it's not because you don't love them, but it's because they're not growing. Or they may not be growing in the same direction as you. But, it's like that saying goes, a bus comes every 15 minutes. So as you release old friendships and relationships and people who are not performing on the level that will encourage and motivate and inspire you towards next level black swan, unicorn, disruption type thinking, you're gonna attract friendships and relationships and associates that are going to help raise you to that next level. But you got to create the vacuum and the void for them. The secret to genius is simplicity. And simplicity is what leads to iconic performance. Simplicity, very simple. Look at our greats. Look at Prince. Look at Michael Jackson. Look at the late great Muhammad Ali. These were people who were legendary in one thing that they did, and it was almost tragic how simple it was, but they just took the basics and expanded on it. Meaning, you can disrupt also by just being incredibly unstoppable in something that we've always known. You can either disrupt in such a way that you're totally revolutionizing an industry or a marketplace, or you could disrupt in just the way you do something that's simple and conventional and status quo, but the way you're doing it is disruptive. So I say instead of having 50 projects, why not focus on 2 or 3? Instead of, so many of you, whenever I talk to you, you're always doing something different. You may start off where you're building your business, and then next thing I know, you're deciding you want to write a book. And then 6 months later, I talk to you and it's, well, yeah, I'm working on a blog. Like, focus on one thing. Grow it. grow it, scale it, turn it into something, and then start something else. But I think a lot of us, we throw in the towel because we don't see the results that we want. And because we don't see the results that we want, we think that it's failing. When in reality, some things just take longer than others to incubate. So allow your baby to incubate. Don't give up on it. And don't kill it by having too many irons, too many things just going on. Too many irons in the fire. Too much going on. Disruption. Disruptive innovation creates a new market. Okay? And that's what I really wanted to laser focus into tonight, is how disruptive innovation creates a new market. So think about things like, what are some businesses and some things that come to mind when you think about innovative disruption? I mean, disruption that has just totally changed the game. Bitcoin a bit, you think? It did threaten the banking industry a bit. PayPal has certainly stirred things up. Netflix, Amazon has just put whole companies to rest. You know, Amazon has put Barnes and Nobles and Borders Books into the cemetery. It's murdered them. They cannot compete with it. Uber is changing the game for the hotel and hospitality industry. Airbnb, totally wrecking shop for the hospitality, as well as the taxi cabs and rental cars and things like that. It's affecting them. It's touching their bottom line. They feel it. WhatsApp, Pokemon Go, the newest one. It's a disruptor in every way. Pokemon Go is the poster child for disruption in every way possible. And Serena Williams, I'm going to keep harping on that. Serena Williams, she changed the face of tennis. For years and years and years, tennis was this lily white sport that did not have any people of color. Maybe a domino dot here and there, Arthur Ashe, and but not only did she disrupt it, she dominates it. And so that is the definitive black swan. That is the definitive unicorn, where you just totally decimate all of your competition. And it's not even because you're outworking them, but it's just because you're just so unique. And again, your charisma, your swag, the way you do it, the way you finesse things, the way your style can be disruptive. So again, you have to be undistracted. On average, we're distracted every 11 minutes. That's why so few people write, best-selling books, or so few people have the patience to build anything of lasting value. We don't have people writing, great pieces of music and we don't have people designing things like the Sistine Chapel, because they're too busy on the phone and on Twitter and on Instagram and on Meerkat and on Snapchat, and they're recording stuff for their videos and so we are so distracted by other disruptors that we don't have anything left for us. Disruption. Less ego and applause. You can't do it for the ego and the applause. You cannot do it for the ego and the applause, because by the very nature of a black swan or a unicorn, it's not going to get applause initially. A lot of times, people may not respect you or your mastery or your art or your craft until long after you're gone. Some of our greats, Van Gogh was never respected during his day. He never really sold any of his art. He was starving. He was struggling. He was a starving artist. Van Gogh. And now look, he goes down in history, in the history books. Same thing with William Shakespeare. He wasn't, a legend in his day. When he was alive, he was just an average playwright. He was an average writer in his day. He was a struggling artist. But now he's gone down into history. But I'm here to tell you, you can leave your mark now so that you see and get the respect you deserve as a disruptor today in your lifetime. Not after you die and walk the golden streets of heaven. No, today, now, like within your lifetime, within the next 10 to 20 years, get the respect you deserve. But first you have to, again, add value and operate at your highest levels, from your highest values, and live in your highest truths. What do you do? What can you do that will leave this world absolutely awestruck? Because you exercised world-class performance, because you occupied black swan, unicorn, rare air, disruptive atmosphere. What is it? What did you come to do? What is your greatest purpose? What is your greatest calling? And here's the thing. We tend to think that, in order to be great, you have to build something really huge. But everything that's huge started out really small. Really small. Even Coca-Cola in the beginning, they weren't in every market all over the world globally. Coca-Cola did not start out as a multinational corporation. It became that. Starbucks did not start out as a multinational. It's coffee. Do you hear what I'm saying? Starbucks made coffee sexy. It's something for years. People would go to McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts and get a coffee, and it was like, whatever, 99-cent coffee. And that's what it tastes like, 99-cent coffee. Whether you drink coffee or not, you may drink frappuccinos or you may drink tea. But Starbucks made coffee and tea sexy. It made it elegant. It disrupted the coffee industry. Totally. And it did it not in empty image and empty rhetoric. It did it but by just producing better quality coffee. And in an environment that was pleasant, and is pleasant for people to be in. Disruption. Black swan, unicorn, disruption. Starbucks, Airbnb, PayPal, Netflix, Amazon, Pokemon Go, Serena Williams, WhatsApp. These are disruptors. And remember, when you go to the edge of your capability expands. You are where you earned yourself to be. Everything that you have right now, you earned it. And that means the good and the bad. So many times we only look at the shit that we, respect and we're proud of. Oh, I earned this degree. I earned my master's degree. I earned my PhD. I earned my house. I earned this car. I earned this job. I earned this relationship. But what about the bad shit? Own up to that too. You earned that failure. You earned that divorce. You earned that bad health. If you're in ill health, there's a reason you're in ill health. There's a reason. If you have a heart condition, or you have something going on within your blood, or you have something going on within your limbic system, or your lymphatic system, or your endocrine system, that is because something is off balance. You earned that condition that you're in, either by the lack of doing what you need to do and putting the proper nutrients and minerals and healthy goodness into your body temple, or doing something too much that has compromised your body temple. But whatever is going on in your life, you've earned it. You've earned it. You've earned it. Nothing is happening to you or has happened to you that you did not earn. So take credit for the good and the bad. And knowing that, know that you can earn a better future for yourself. It may require you to go back to school. It may require you to be less available. Be less available in relationships. Some of us need to fall back from some of the people we've been giving ourselves to, and spending so much time giving ourselves to people who don't necessarily respect and deserve all that we have to offer for them. And so we're left depleted. And remember, you cannot give and empty yourself and still feel whole. Because every time you empty yourself out, you make yourself less whole. And that's not to say that it's a bad, negative thing to empty yourself, but make sure that you're emptying yourself into vessels that will respect and reciprocate the pouring out that you're exemplifying. So what are the solutions? I said all that. I've given you some books to read. I've given you some content that will make you think. But what are the solutions? The number one solution to becoming a black swan, to becoming a unicorn, to becoming a disruptor is meditation. Daily meditation, number one. Number one, what it does is meditation daily for at least an hour. You can either do 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes right before lunch or right after lunch as a break, and 20 minutes right before you go to bed. Or you can do an hour in the morning, or 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. However you want to split it up, cut it up, chop it up. An hour of meditation daily. What it's going to do is it's going to grow your prefrontal cortex. Meditation, scientifically, we've learned that it will grow your prefrontal cortex. And what that does is it helps you make better decisions. Some of us, in our effort to stay so connected, and we're so distracted that we can't make the right decisions because we never give our mind time to be silent and in solitude and rest so that it can actually grow and repair itself. And so that's what not only sleep does, helps that mind to rest and to reboot, if you will. But meditation is going to help you to make better decisions. It's going to help you to think things through slowly. And it's also going to tap you into that spirit realm where all the great imagination and imaginative creative ideas come from. How many of you know they all come from the spirit realm? Every great idea, it comes from somewhere. And so that's why when you speak to creative people, they like to be alone. The most creative people, they do well in solitude because they're able to reach out into the ether and pull those great ideas in and give birth to them, if you will. So an hour of meditation is the number one solution to becoming a disruptor and to not being disrupted by the bigger disruptors. And how many of you know the disruptors are going to come whether you want them to or not? Disruption is happening to us whether we want it, choose it, or not. Meditation, exercise. How many of you know exercise is the wonder drug? Exercise is the miracle grow for the brain. Exercise. And it doesn't have to be drawn out. It can be 15 minutes on the elliptical. It can be taking a lot of quick breaks where you get up and you stretch and you do some calisthenics. It could be a 15 to 20 minute jog or walk. It could be sex. Hey, sex is exercise. It's burning calories. It can be riding the bike. It can be gardening. It can be yoga. It can be Pilates, but exercise. So meditation, exercise, and another solution is going to require you to level up your experience. You're going to have to level up your experience, your team, your squad, whatever you want to call it, your clique, your crew, your girls, your boys, your church group, your investment club, whatever you call it, the circle around you. You're going to have to level up. Level up. And if you can't level up your team or your crew, the people around you, then level up the team around you. What does that mean? If you can't change the people around you to start to read the books you're reading and travel to places you're traveling and take some of the classes you're taking, and you can't get them to come to a vision board party with you, you can't get them to discuss ideas and ways to become an entrepreneur or bring in multiple sources of income, then change your friends. But it is a must. So meditation, exercise, leveling up your experience, your team, and your resources. And keep leveling up until you find what works for you. There's a poet by the name, he goes by the pen name of R.H. Sin. R.H. Sin. And he totally disrupted how we read poetry just by posting shots of his poetry on Instagram. He became this huge success. And not just on Instagram, but on Tumblr and on Pinterest and all over the internet. And because of that, he earned his way to sell a bunch of books that he self-published. So he said, you know what? Big time traditional publishers, I'm not gonna fuck with you because I'm growing organically. I'm growing my following and my readership organically. And he used the tools and the resources that he had. And if all your resources that you have is your art form, your poetry in you, and a camera or an iPhone and your social media accounts, then by God, use that. Use your talent, use your resources at hand, but always remember to level up. But R.H. Sin is an example of a disruptor. He disrupted how we read poetry, and he made poetry sexy again. A lot of people don't even read poetry, real poetry, but they'll read his poetry because he gives it to you in sips. And he doesn't give it to you in long, draining doses. He gives it to you in sips and sample cups. But he made it sexy again. And he's eating good off of it. And he's self-made. He's independent. He's standing up on his own too. And I'm here to tell you, you're not free. You won't be happy and free until you are able to stand on your own too. So start with a nothing is impossible mentality. Nothing is impossible. Because you have to be a visionary. You have to be able to see the shit no one else can see. You have to really be able to see in the dark. You have to be in the midst of darkness and still know that you know you're gonna be okay, and see your way out of the darkness. And that starts with having a nothing is impossible mentality and attitude. Like, you know what? Come what may, come hell or high water, I am going to win. I am unstoppable. And you really have to tell yourself that every day in order to become a disruptor. You have to look for the absurdities and stuff that bothers you. And you have to think of solutions. You know, that's what disruption is about. Disruption is about finding things that the old-fashioned status quo way of things and saying, you know what, I don't like the way this is done. I'm not doing this shit like everybody else. I'm going to do it my way, and finding a way to tip the scales in your favor that enough people follow you and are influenced by the way you do those things that they actually help you to change the way that thing is done. You have to become an idea machine. Disrupt status quo. Don't wait for the government or big business to grant you permission, because they're not coming to grant you permission anyway. Big business and government has never come to rescue the little guy. The little guy has found a way to grow himself and become such a entity of value that big business and government is forced to look at him. Bill Gates did it with Microsoft. Zuckerberg did it with Facebook. And guess what? You're going to do it next. Think global. Yes, focus on your small little local personal issues and things that affect you, but think about the global ramifications, the international ramifications of you changing the way things are done. Because when you think global, you're thinking about all types of people. When you think about all types of people, you don't marginalize anyone. So you say, you know, a lot of people can be helped by this. If it's pissing me off, it's probably pissing a lot of people off. And you make changes. Cross-pollinate ideas with other epic, out-the-box thinkers. Because guess what? Disruptors upend business models and they wreck shop for other companies. Companies we thought were irreplaceable. Where's Blockbuster today? When I was a kid, Friday nights, we would go to Blockbuster Video and check out videos. You can no longer find a Blockbuster Video. You can find a Blockbuster vending machine. But Blockbuster Video is extinct as we knew it as a brick and mortar store. Because companies like Netflix and, you know, they've just upended those business models. So think about ideas and concepts and ways of doing things that can just upend the business model. You talk about a protest. You talk about being rebellious. You talk about being a misfit. Disruptors are the OG misfits. But they get paid very, very handsomely to do so. So I leave you with that. Black Swan, future unicorn, future disruptor. Here's to making it happen. Peace and many, 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 many blessings. I'll see you next week.